Aloha, Flow Riders, and welcome to this edition of The Flow. Today, we got a special guest. He is flown all the way in from Vegas, and man, is his arms tired. That was really stupid. Hey, Dave. Hey, Katie.
Hey, Doc.
All right, family. This is my buddy, Dave Hamilton. He is on probably one of the longest running Mac podcasts ever, right? I've been on the show. I've listened to the show for years. I think the show is probably around about 18, 19 years old at this point. How old is it, Dave?
We're in our 21st year. We'll hit 21 in June.
Okay, so the show is old enough to drink, and so am I. I'll be right back.
Not quite, but you know, college it can drink.
Just about.
I'll be back. All right, so Dave did something cool for us, and Mac Geek Gab is the podcast. If you haven't heard it before, especially those of you guys who are trying to get up on your Mac tech and you're trying to, stay abreast of what's going on, learn some tips, learn how to be a better Mac user. Mac Geek Gab is the show, and Dave's also an awesome musician. I've had musician. I've had the chance to see him perform live a few times at Macworld, and we sent him to CES. And supposedly what happens in Vegas is supposed to stay in Vegas, but he brought back all the snitching. So that's what we're getting into.
Well, Vegas, the internet is like Vegas. Whatever happens on the internet stays on the internet forever. And so, when CES happens, it stays on the internet forever. And here we are, forever.
Super, super cool. I am so glad that you had a chance to do that. I have so many questions about CES stuff. But Katie, what was the thing that when you got this mission from Dave and he's like, I'm going to send this dude on a mission. And I was like, cool. What were you hoping to see at CES, or what were you expecting? Being the non-nerd here.
Also, here's the thing, just so we're clear. Dave brought us along to CES.
He
was on his way.
The mission was happening.
The mission
was
happening with or without us. I think CES, for those of you who are not aware of this event, is a huge event that I personally just don't know a ton about outside. Like, it's tech, it's electronics, it's like, it's in the space that we play in, but we don't often, like, I've never been myself, and we've never gone, and we've never sort of supported it. So I thought it was a really cool opportunity for us to figure out, like, what are those trends that are coming out of there? What are people talking about? What are people excited about? What should we be paying attention in? Because obviously, in order to use Ecamm, in order to be in a podcasting space, in order to be in these tech digital environments, we need to know.
Yeah,
we need to know what's upcoming. So yeah, I mean, most of my questions center around, like, how do you actually live stream or capture content when you're at such a crazy large show, which we've done to some extent, but not to that level. And then all of the, what did you learn? What are the things that we should all know about?
Sure. So CES, for those who don't know, that is the name of it now, but it's best to frame it using its former name, which was the Consumer Electronics Show.
Yeah,
it's still the Consumer Electronics Show in spirit. They just changed the name, and they yell at us as press if we call it the Consumer Electronics Show. Yeah, I mean, within reason, like they don't own us or anything. But I suppose they could deny our media credentials or something. So it is called CES. But the Consumer Electronics Show is what it is in spirit. Now, what it actually is, though, and it's really hard to describe the enormity of it to anyone who's never been. Like, you just don't understand. If you've been to Las Vegas, imagine, and again, this is hard, but imagine what Las Vegas would be like with 145,000 extra people in every hotel. And it's not just the Las Vegas Convention Center. It's all of the Las Vegas Convention Center, all of the Sands Convention Center, which is really the Venetian Expo Center, both floors. Right. And the same is true of South Hall. You get both floors, and then West Hall, and also North Hall and Central Hall. And then also the Mandalay's Convention Center. And then pretty much every meeting room that could possibly exist is also filled with brands, companies having, semi-private or semi-private meetings as opposed to the show floor.
Sure.
And then every other ballroom in Vegas is used at least once during the week for some event. And it used to be, so there's one thing that's less, Harman slash JBL used to go and they would have their own pavilion that was basically like their own expo center that was just their stuff that would be open all week. So if you have been to a conference where you could go and just walk the show floor and experience everything, that would be very misleading in terms of how you might think you could cover CES. If you don't have a plan going into CES,
you need a map and a plan.
you certainly need a plan. Whether you have a map or not is almost irrelevant because you're not going to go to everything. It's impossible.
It's impossible.
Right. And you need good walking shoes. So you really have
to. You need good walking shoes, but you also need a plan. Like, for example, in the show floor, I used to joke that I would avoid the show floor like the plague at CES. It turns out I'm better at avoiding the show floor than I am the plague. But yeah, but that's not here now. I actually came back healthy this time. No, I came back, but just in general, I didn't avoid the plague like at all over the last 5 years. So, but the show floor, you have to plan where you're going on which day many weeks in advance in order to really plan it out and schedule it. So I know that, okay, on the first day that the show floor is open, I will go to the Venetian and I will see the things that I want to see at the Venetian. And of course I need to, chart all that out ahead of time. And then the second day I'll go to the Las Vegas Convention Center and I'll chart all that out ahead of time and schedule the things that I need to schedule. Without a schedule, the show floor is not really built for press. Like people in that brands that are there are not necessarily looking to get press as their first priority. Many brands might not even be ready to have press. Not that right? They need, like, if people start ordering from them, that would crater their business, right? So they need distribution, they need logistics partners, and that's what they're going to CES for.
So it's almost like a giant networking event, but it does, as a member of the press, give you a good indication of what businesses are building, what products are coming out, but they're not, it's like in that awkward in-between time.
Yes.
Where it's like it's being built now and being talked about and shuffling around.
There was a key thing.
Eventually going to be released, right?
So, Katie, there was a key thing that happened. Up until 2003, it was Comdex, and it was basically the computer, demonstration expo. And then the .com bust kind of sparkled around 2003, 2004. So it officially switched to CES in 2004 because they brought in a lot more of the PC vendors. And at that time, we were starting to get good with gaming, and mobile phones were happening, but it wasn't iPhone yet. But you did have your handsprings and your Palm Pilots and, these other various handheld tech. Speaking of which, fun fact, Ken and Glenn, Ecamm, one of their first apps was a Palm Pilot app, not a Mac app. So that was the move back then. And so when the .com bust happened, they were like, "How you're killing the biggest show in the country, point blank." NAB is
Comdex was huge.
Comdex was huge.
I think CES and Comdex. I think CES and Comdex existed in parallel for a little bit.
Right, they did.
I don't think one became the other, but they sort of merged.
Right, they merged.
Yeah,
so
right.
2003, 2004, because I was a Comdex phenom. And then my last CES was probably 5 years after iPhone. So let's call it 2012. But yeah, so 2003, 2004, we had both. And I think they finally merged it together in 2005 because it was dumb because you would have Comdex and then AVN, and then CES sort of back to back. And we won't discuss what AVN is on this show, but somebody was smart enough to put the nerds and the stuff that nerds like in the same town at the same time. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah. That's correct. You would have that in the middle.
Yes.
That's correct.
Yes. And then
you could tell just by looking at how much or little someone was dressed, which expo they were going to.
And so the funny thing was, though, there was a massive crossover because digital video and the ability to swing video on the internet had just sort of got big around 04, 05. And so the reason why they stuck those two together is because we were building that new industry. That's the biggest industry in the U.S. right now. All of us nerds were getting side jobs, doing work in the fancy industry.
That's right. Yeah. So I say that CES is not for the press. That's not entirely true. The show floor, it's hit or miss, right? So if I were to go there to cover it and only plan on going to the show floor without having very specifically scheduled meetings, it would be a huge waste of my time.
Yeah.
And that's generally what happens, even if you have coaching, because
it's just too big.
It's too big.
Yeah.
When we were running Mac Observer, we learned very quickly that even with the rest of us coaching someone, any staff member's first year at CES was a learning experience.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They would not get a ton of content out of it. They would be completely overwhelmed. They'd say, I know you warned me about this, but I had no idea. But there are now 3 very press-focused events that happen. And they start early. So the show floor opened on Tuesday of last week, a week ago today.
Mm-hmm.
The press events actually start on Sunday.
Okay.
And there's media days, but there's an event called Unveiled, which is run by CES themselves, or the CTA, the company that runs CES, Consumer Technology Association, I think is the right name, but CTA. That's Unveiled, and I'll explain what that is. There's 2 others that look almost similar to that are privately run events. The other is called Ecamm. That would be on Monday night. And then Showstoppers on Tuesday night. And once you're into these, they all kind of look the same. Every brand the only people who are allowed to attend are press.
Okay. Yeah.
So the brands that are there, presumably, are intending to speak with the press and only the press. The layout of all of these is very similar. Everybody gets a table. And everybody gets the same size table. You're not building a huge booth. There's no huge installations. You're not rolling your own carpet in. You're not bringing all this crazy stuff. Each table's about 8 feet long, and it makes it extremely efficient to just move around in this place. It's not about the glitz and the glam. It's about seeing the product, talking to the people, learning about the things. And it's super efficient because everyone that's there is press, which means if you're there and you're talking to someone at, say, the Ecamm booth or whatever, say you don't work for Ecamm, you're finding out what they do, right? Then if I show up halfway through your conversation, generally speaking, the second half of your conversation is super valuable to me. And then you'll leave at the end of yours. They'll kind of circle back to the beginning, give me the first half while other people sort of assemble.
Yeah.
I'll split because I've already heard the second half of the spiel.
Yeah.
I get my questions answered, and it's super efficient. And these events are 3 or 4 hours long each, and it's a spread. Of course, they also have food and an open bar because that's the way you get the press to show up.
Absolutely.
Right. I have some advice on how to manage both of those things if anybody's interested. I've learned the hard way. Generally speaking, I don't visit the bar until maybe the last hour.
Dave, do you remember when HP and those guys would get a room and you'd see a table that's the size of the table behind you guys, and that whole thing would be a mountain of shrimp, and then people would just
oh yeah,
it was insane, Katie. We're talking like legit a 5-foot by 3-foot pile of shrimp and ice, and then people would just walk by. It was kind of crazy, and back in the day when companies had a lot more money, it was a lot more money that they wasted. It was open right. Bar. So you see nerds who don't drink like that. It was kind of crazy with shrimp, by the way.
And that's yeah.
So are you bringing our audience are predominantly content creators, podcasters. So are you bringing a portable recording tech with you to be able to capture a video in any of those interviews? Or are you soaking it all in and then you're going later back to your hotel room recording spot, et cetera, to capture all of the ideas and thoughts and what excited you the most?
So both. And different people do it different ways. What we've learned works really well. Our job when we go, and thank you for supporting us and on behalf of our audience, thank you for supporting us to do this. Our job when we go is to filter through the noise so that our audience doesn't have to. Yep. And we find those diamonds in the rough, right? So that's what we're there for. And what we've found is that, and we found this on the podcast too, in all the podcasts I do, our audience is there for us, not for the specific marketing spokespeople from any given brand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's with podcasting, it's beautiful because it's self-selecting. The audience follows us because they are at some level like-minded.
Yeah.
Right. And so the things that interest me or interest the 3 of us also likely interest our audience. If they don't, they're probably going to stop listening. And that's
audience,
it's just the wrong. Yeah, it's the wrong thing. And that's the beauty of podcasting, right? So what I do is I go and I talk to the people, and I say I mean Pete and I were out there this time. Pilot Pete from Mac Ecamm and I were out this time. And what I do is I know some of the brands I'm going to see at the PepCom and Showstoppers and these press focused events. I will sort of wander and see what I've missed in the prep work because there's always something. But in general, I find out about the product. As I'm talking to them, something in my mind will go like, okay, that's it. Like this is the cool thing.
That's the shiny thing everyone wants to know.
That's the shiny thing, at least our audience, but which is not everyone.
True. Yeah.
Right. So like, it's very specific. And so it's like, okay, that's the thing that catches my interest. So then what I will do is I'll film some B-roll at the booth. It doesn't matter what the sound is, because the sound in these things, it's like, I mean, you can obviously get very directional microphones and do all the thing, but
you don't need to.
You don't need to.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
That's the thing, is I can deliver much higher quality content by grabbing some B-roll of the specific thing that I'm seeing. But while I'm grabbing that B-roll in my head, I'm kind of doing the voiceover of like, all right, here's what I'm going to talk about. Here are the features of this thing that I'm going to talk about, leaving myself time to do that. And then when I get back to the hotel room, and then, of course, as soon as I take the B-roll, then I take some notes on my phone, because I know that my memory is fallible, but the phone's memory, generally speaking, is not. So I type some things in, what it was that interested me, a price point, if that's relevant, whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
And then when I go back to the hotel room, now I've got a relatively tight audio environment, and I film myself doing a discussion of this. It's usually a 2-minute, 3-minute kind of thing. And I do this all in Ecamm, by the way, which has been happening for years. I don't even think you folks knew. So this was not the first year that we used Ecamm, even though it was the first year you've sponsored us. But Ecamm is a great piece of software to do this, because what I can do is I take that video, I pull it in, I make that into a scene in Ecamm. And then I have essentially, I mean, if I have multiple videos, I'd have multiple video scenes, but otherwise I have, I buffer that with scenes that are just me, my local camera.
Yeah.
And so I mute the sound on the videos, generally speaking. There's some that I didn't, because I wanted to capture the
feel.
The feel. Yeah, exactly. But by and large, for 90% of them, you don't want to capture the feel, at least not the audio feel.
Yeah.
And then I just talk. And it's like, hey, and I mean, I might come up with something, pithy to start it with to capture people's attention. But then it's like, great, I saw this thing, and then I'll just, cut to the video and talk over the video with my, camera view down in the corner or whatever. And then when the video finishes, I'd say, check this out. Here's their link or whatever. A link will be in the description. And, thanks to our sponsors, because without folks like Ecamm, we couldn't do this. And stay subscribed. And thanks very much. And I'm on to the next one.
I think this is so important for people to hear, like, regardless of whether or not you're going out to an event or, we have a lot of, shout out to all of our Disney podcasters, right, who like are constantly going into a park. It is really difficult to take Ecamm as a software with you out into those kinds of spaces, because that's not what it was designed for, right? It's a Mac desktop-based software that's sitting on your computer, so it's not on your phone. But it does work brilliantly in those moments, because then you don't lose the focus. You capture all of the content, and then you just line it up, exactly what Dave was saying. So it's like, whether you're going out to, to an event, you're going to a concert, you're going out, wherever it is, you can capture all that video footage, and Ecamm makes it so easy to drop those video clips in, sound, no sound, whatever, and then be able to do like a reaction video.
It's a reaction video. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
It wasn't called that when we started doing it, but that's what it is. Yeah.
I have a question,
that's what it's called now.
A workflow question for you, Dave. This is funny, because I'm sure people would love to get a kick out of this when I say something that I feel like that I'm super terrible at, and I want to get better at it, because
what?
it does allow for faster production. is, for instance, if I was doing an unboxing of this brand new Anchor, or not even just an unboxing, a review video of this Anchor, I tend to do it live while I'm holding the product or whatever, as opposed to shooting B-roll and doing the voiceover. And I think one of the reasons why I struggle with that is something that I see a lot of creators do. When you have more talking points than you have footage, they'll just repeat footage. How do you get your timing together so you have ample enough B-roll to go with what you're saying? Or do you try to make it absolutely line up? Like, how intentional are you about hitting all of those points?
I generally think about what those points are going to be while I'm filming the B-roll. Okay. Now, does my mind come up with other things to say either between when I film the B-roll and when I start filming, or literally while I'm recording it? Of course, those things always happen. But that's why I leave the buffers on either end of just me. I don't need the entire, if it's a 2 or 3 minute video, I don't need 2 or 3 minutes of B-roll. I need 30 to 60 seconds of B-roll.
Correct.
That's it. And then it starts with me talking, it ends with me talking, and the B-roll happens in the middle. Now, are there times where I get 2 sets of, I get one thing of B-roll that's 20 seconds and another one that's, 48 seconds, and then I'll just line those up, and I know where it's going to cut because, hey, I'm also the cameraman, right? Like, I remember filming this, and
you've taken notes,
I've taken notes, correct. And I will put like, okay, video 1 say these things, video 2 say these things, and I'm doing that in real time on my phone right after I've recorded the video. Yeah. So once I do the video and I do that, I was able. Pete was yelling at me because he's like, "You're crazy with how fast you produce these." I'm like, "Well, I just don't. I don't worry about perfection. I just worry about getting content out."
Listen to the man. News is never about perfection. And nobody understands that. Like, news is never about perfection. They get it out. Sometimes you've seen the hurricane.
Is a goal.
Yeah, but you've seen the hurricane take out the person while they're standing there. Like, the wave actually knocks them down. It's just what happens. But they're there telling you that.
It's me having the way I think about it is I am having a conversation. I am telling I realize it's a one-sided conversation. They can't respond to me. But I am telling one person, and I think of a specific person about this thing. And that person then just becomes the avatar for the entire audience. But I know that by and large, people are watching this by themselves. So it's really 2 people involved, even if there's thousands or tens of thousands of individual peoples that are watching it. It's not groups of people that are watching it together as a group. You are alone while you're experiencing this content. So it's me talking to you. And like I said, I think of a very specific you. And just like I'm doing now, do I occasionally pause for a word? Do I occasionally stumble? Do I occasionally say, Of course I do. I'm a human being. And so I don't worry about, am I hitting these in the right order? It's like, right. Oh, and what's great, like literally just what happened here is I'll say the things that I want to say and then get excited thinking, oh, there's one last thing I forgot to tell you about. And then I just tell you about it.
Like
that excitement, literally what's happening here that's engaging.
Yeah.
For us as humans, it's just how we are. So yeah, I don't worry about the timing of it. Unless, look, there've been times where I've gotten 19 seconds of video and I really wish I had 40. So do I slow the video down and play it back that slower? Yes, of course I do. Because, the tech has that capability.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's just, and sometimes I screw it up. Like, when I did, I'm trying to think. I did. We went and saw The Wizard of Oz at Sphere on Sunday.
I'm so jealous.
Wow.
I could cry.
Wow.
Yeah. And I did a video, and I've been to Sphere one time before. I've never seen a concert there, which really drives me crazy.
Life goals right now to get to a concert of a band that I love at Sphere would be goals.
Yeah, let's not talk about that right now.
Sorry.
I'm having trouble with schedules, and literally was invited on the most recent Gig Gab podcast that came out to go sit at front of house and watch Kenny Chesney this summer, but the timing doesn't work because my daughter's got this like wedding thing she wants to do at the same time. I don't know. It seems like
be an
more
orphan,
than the
dude.
other. That's right. She all sort of understands why we've considered not going to her wedding, but But anyway, so I'd been to Sphere once before. We went a couple of years ago, right after it had opened, and saw the Postcards from Earth, which is the Daniel Aronofsky movie that was built for Sphere. Amazing. Wizard of Oz was, to me, another level of it. And so I took some video as we were going in, not really sure what I was going to do with this.
Yeah, because why not capture it?
Right.
Yeah.
And you get into the theater, and there's some spoilers in the video, which I'll happily give you and you can share. But just know that if you see this, or maybe even listen to more of this conversation, you're probably going to learn some things about it. But you walk in, and if it's your first time in Sphere, you don't quite realize necessarily how much of what you're seeing isn't there. You see what appears to be a very gorgeous theater with a curtain and speakers hanging and all of these things, none of which is real. And I knew none of it was real, right? But my eyes deceived me. I know those speakers aren't hanging there, and yet I think they are. And then of course the movie starts, and it's like, oh wow, this screen's much bigger than I realized. And so I took some video of, and you're not supposed to video during the performance, but I figured whatever.
But content creators be creating.
Yeah, right. And so I took little snippets of bits and pieces of the show, right? Just to kind of give. I mean, there's like all kinds of 4D things that happen. There's what happens on the screen. The sound of Sphere, that really is to me, that's the shining star of that building. And the fact that you don't realize how great the sound is and how specific the sound is the magic of that, right? But I could go on for that for a really long time. But I took some video of it, and there was one point where it got to about 110 decibels, only for a short period of time. But that's like super loud. Yeah. If I was in an environment that was that loud all the time, I'd just wear earplugs. But I recorded this particular moment, and then in talking over it, I didn't have my levels set right? So and I wanted people to hear some approximation from a phone, like what it was like in there. And I realized after I produced the video that like my voiceover was getting buried by the thing. It was like, you know what? I'm going to produce 50 videos while I'm out here at CES. I'm not going to reproduce this one. You can hear what I'm saying. It's fine. It's not exactly perfect where I would have liked it to be mixed and all of that. But I'm, in my hotel room, I'll have like an hour carved out to do videos. And if I'm doing it at the right pace, I can push out 10 videos in an hour.
Yeah, because you have to also be in the moment as well. Like for any of us who have been involved in any kind of, trade show, conference, event, etc., it is both exciting, thrilling, but it just also sucks the energy out of you because you're up way early, you're staying up really late, you're just, if you're at all like an introverted person, you're just like peopling a ton, and so I think that's really smart, like that you have to sort of set time limits, right? Time limits.
Yep.
And you have to ship it good enough. Which I think is actually a really almost a skill that we should practice even when we are not in those environments, because, we're always saying to our audience, get rid of the perfectionism, let it go, just get it out there, live stream, etc. But I think getting into that mindset of, I only have this amount of time, create a false sense of urgency where you only
or a real one.
Or a real one.
Whichever.
Yeah, whichever. But it does help, I think, in just reminding you that the goal actually is to get it done because there's all this other stuff that's equally important to your job, to your personal life, to your experience.
Correct.
So it is a balancing act. I think.
Totally. I don't know when I actually learned that lesson, but I remember one instance where it was very impactful on me, and it's when we started Mac Geek Gab. So, we're rewinding almost 21 years. We were already publishing the Mac Observer. We'd been doing that for about 7 or 8 years at that point. So we understood the value of, hey, it's great if it's perfect, but it's even better if it's on the website, right? So when we started Mac Geek Gab, hopefully they're not coming together.
It's the flow.
Amesbury is always on fire.
Yes.
I don't know what it is about. The fire truck goes by at least once a day here.
Interesting.
And always when we're live.
I'm just going to own it and shit our podcast. Always
when we're live.
Yep.
Amesbury,
but that's the beauty, right? I mean, that's the beauty of doing something live, is you just accept these things. I mean, it's literally what we're talking about. Yeah. And so when we started Mac Geek Gab, we had Mac Observer that we were running. We had BackBeat Media, which is the company that sort of manages all the sponsorships for Mac Observer. And at the time, about 40 other websites. Now we manage about 60 different podcasts because the industry has evolved. And then we had a website called Deals on the Web that we were running, and I had a family and kids and like all the other things. So I knew that I didn't have time for perfection. And I'm an audio nerd, I'm a musician, right? Like I knew that if I gave myself the opportunity, I would work to make everything perfect.
Yep.
And it would never release on time. But what I did understand from running Mac Observer was that release schedule consistency was the most important thing, right? And I tell all podcasters this, I tell all creators this, but especially a podcast where you're releasing on a schedule, your audience will build you in. The best case scenario is that your audience builds you into their schedule, into their life. So if they listen to your show every Wednesday when they go to the gym in the morning, they're going to count on that. And if your show isn't out because you wanted to polish something and make it perfect, they still went to the gym and they listened to something. And now, if you're lucky, they might try your show again next week on Wednesday because they really love your show. But if you do that to them 2 weeks in a row, they have set a new habit, because that's how long it takes us humans to set a habit, is 2 weeks. And if you screw that up, you have lost this listener that probably cost you a ton to get in the first place.
Yep.
So releasing consistency, like that is the prime directive. And it was my prime directive when we started Mac Geek, release consistently. The second thing, and this is an important second, but not as important as the prime directive, was good audio quality. Mm-hmm. You'll notice in neither of those was good content. The content quality was terrible. I knew it would be terrible. And the only way that I would get better at it was if I had the opportunity to just keep doing it. And without good audio quality and good release schedule, I was never going to get that opportunity. So that's how I learned that lesson. And I built a workflow for myself that, and it basically still exists to this day. I don't get up after recording Mac Geek Up. I don't get up until the show is published. I don't get out of my chair. And that I used to give it, I gave myself a 15-minute rule. Now, back when it was early days and audio only and all that stuff, 15 minutes was actually fine. We weren't doing episode images. We weren't doing anything else. It was just like, take the things. I came up with a way of building like show notes while we were recording, so I didn't have to do any of that. And then it would go. Now it's more like 45 minutes because I got to build an image and I got to do all the things. Yeah. But I still don't get out of the chair, no matter how much I have to pee. Like, it's just part of the deal.
That's actually a brilliant.
There's the urgency, right?
No, that is a brilliant situation because I know that it's easy. I do it all the time. I have these best laid plans to do something as soon as the show finishes. Yeah. And then you get up to go pee. And then once I walk in the house to go pee, Karen says, oh, you got to do this, and this, or we need to go do this, or, mom needs the help. We got to drive over to the in-laws house or something. And it never comes back to what you needed to do. And it's like days later and it's gone. And it's absolutely gone. So I love the fact that you said that. And I think I want to just make sure that people hear what you said about, it's not about being perfect. The consistency will get you there. And I wanted to point out, just by terrible math, probably there's over 1,114 episodes of MGG and it's still growing. Like, right. We're pushing 1,200 episodes of this show. Like, this show is legit, has been going on forever. And I think, people are like, well, what am I going to run out of content? You can't run out of something until you start using it.
There's only one way to find out.
A holler back.
And we stumbled into, it was dumb luck, right? So with Mac Geek Gab, the first episode, we talked about whatever, Mac OS Tiger that had come out like a month before or something. Okay, fine, great. Second episode, I can't tell you what we talked about. It's out there. You could find it. Third episode, though, I remember because I didn't know what we were going to talk about.
Yeah, we've all had those moments.
Right.
Yeah.
But this was episode 3. Like, this was too early to have that problem. And so I said to John, my co-host, I said, hey, I'm going to make up some questions and ask them from the audience's perspective, and then we'll answer them. And, things that I know that we can talk about, but also things that I think are going to be valuable to people to learn. And we will just sort of wrap these tips in the form of a Q&A, even though the questions are, I mean, they're not fake. They're just the people that
Real
ask
questions,
them.
fake
Real
people.
questions, fake people, right.
Sometimes we have our own questions. And if we saw them out,
That's
if we
the other
saw
thing.
them out loud,
Right.
other people have those questions too. I remember one of the episodes I remember distinctly because I was yelling at you through this. I was in my truck and I was driving and there was an accident, like a fruit truck flipped over, and nothing in Hawaii is worse than when the pineapples hit the street. Like it's going to be a minute. And
It's over.
you guys were setting up this is back when the Apple, oh my God, the spaceship for the internet. We just got square ones. Oh my God, why can't I think of it? The ape.
Airport?
Airport Express, the ape. Or Airport Extreme. And we were setting up something with the airport and it was an SSID problem. We were trying to figure out how to move from one part of the house to the other and have them crisscross. And mesh wasn't really a thing yet, but everybody's trying to do the
We did a lot of
handover.
pseudo mesh on Mac Geek Gab for a long time.
There you go. Exactly. And so this conversation is going, I'm yelling at the thing because I'm trying to give you guys the answers. And I'm like, man, this would be cool if there was a way for me to type and chat and talk to the guys. And then, we got Google Plus and that worked for a minute. We could chat there. And then we got, various forms of chat to get to that point. But I think people need to understand you're not going to run out of content if you don't actually start doing content, right? You're not going to get tired or burnt out or whatever still sitting there. You have to put yourself in a position to actually have these problems. These are good problems to have. That means you actually doing something. But guessing about it,
and the nice part about
it, not going to happen.
Phoning up the questions was that ever since then, so now for almost 21 years, our audience has actually sent in questions.
Yeah,
to
they're
us.
like,
100%.
you all receive questions and
Yes,
answer them. Yeah.
and we try to provide good answers. Obviously, not every question is answerable, and even of the ones that are, we don't necessarily have the answers to every question. No one could, but we'll sort of talk through we have a framework that we use. It's like, well, if we know the answer, we will share the answer happily. But if not, it's all right. If I were there helping you with this, what's the next thing I would try, right?
The
And
process.
talking through that troubleshooting process. That's it. Yeah,
Absolutely
because
the best.
certainly the answer is helpful and valuable, but the troubleshooting process, our goal, we always say, if you don't need to be a nerd to listen, but if you listen long enough, you'll become one.
Yeah, 100%.
It is amazing to me. I will say, I will throw, as usual, myself on the on the chopping block. In that, as you can see here, we're in a new space, same space, but new look, new us. And Doc and Jill, so huge shout out to them, spent hours yesterday building everything, setting it up. Doc was patiently, we were wheeling him around on a
chair
in the Zoom environment on a chair,
sure.
so he could see every angle of this space, because we wanted to be able to have people like yourself who are local come in and have it feel like a cool podcasting and also work as a podcasting space. And I, throughout my 6-ish, 7-ish years of being here, learning all of this stuff, I am always surrounded by the smartest people who are able to just solve the problem. And so Jill, this morning, there were problems, unsurprisingly. Everything was set up brilliantly. I turned it all on. It was good for a moment, and then everything went to heck. So there were problems, and I was here by myself in the office, and I immediately, Doc wasn't awake yet. I called up Jill. Jill and I got on and started talking.
Sorry.
And Jill's first answer was, I am so sorry, Katie. I should have just been there this morning to make sure everything was fine. And I was like, actually, it's kind of great that I'm here by myself, because if I'm just standing there while you fix it, or Doc fix it, or someone else fixes it, I don't learn. I want to know how to do it myself. I want someone talking through. I want the pressure of being like, Dave's going to be here any minute.
It's on me, yeah.
I got to get it figured out. And it ended up being Dave showed up and it ended up helping fix the last step of it. But I learned a lot over the last couple of days of just watching Jill and Doc talk, listening, doing things myself, being bossed around, pulling cables in, putting cables, all of that I learned. But I learned the most this morning being by myself on a time limit, having to figure out how to make it work, because we had committed to showing up for our viewers, for our listeners, for Dave, for Doc, for all. So I feel the same way I know many of you who are watching and listening feel, where when it goes crazy and when things go wrong, your gut reaction is shut it down, cancel it, don't, get perfect or nothing. But those troubleshooting moments and those moments of forcing yourself to not just let someone else do it, but to learn alongside someone else, to not just have the answer, but actually learn the troubleshooting process has been probably the most important part of podcasting for me and the biggest learning that I've had.
There's freedom in that. Like you now have more confidence in this for the next time that you're in this scenario. And you might even put yourself in this scenario next time because you know, all right, I know that I'm not going to know everything, but I know how to approach it.
Yeah.
And that confidence is great. I mean, here's the reality. I mentioned truly that I use Ecamm at like conferences when I'm doing this kind of thing. That's the only time I use Ecamm, right? It's just, that's how my workflow is. And are there other cases where I could? Probably.
We'll probably sway you at some
That's
point.
fine. Right. And I'm obviously very open to that, but it right now, it's how I do things. So that means that it's been at least 6 months since I've really used Ecamm, right? And I usually try to do like a run through in my office before I go, or at least on my laptop, just to make sure I have everything. And I did that, but it really wasn't enough. Like I got there to Vegas and I knew what to do. So I take the footage, I get there, and then it's like, all right, how do I do this again? And it's like, all right,
here's a question, Dave, because I want people to hear this.
And then it comes together and it's great.
I want people to hear this clearly. You guys, here's the problem. Too many people, they do this stuff when they have to do this stuff and they don't do this stuff when they don't. I would tell you right now, what makes me cooler than y'all is I do this stuff when I don't have to. Right. And I'm literally saying that to be absolutely as facetious and as pointy as possible because you need to hear this. People set up their cameras and stuff when they have to do a live stream. They never take it down and then it works. Or they get somebody in the community to help them set up their Rodecaster Pro and they say the next thing, which I absolutely hate. Now, don't touch it because it works. What happens when it breaks and that person is not there? What happens when it breaks and that person's on vacation? What happens when it breaks and that person is not available? You not knowing how to use a Rodecaster Duo is a little bit, it's been out for 3 years. There's more than 1,500 videos on the internet. Alec has made at least 50 of them. Tom has made at least 100 of them. I made like 12 of them. Daniel's made another 12. There's really no excuse. Go learn how to use your Rodecaster Pro. Like it really doesn't make any sense. So I'm asking this question to my point, Dave. How many times have you done paradiddles or flams or, drag grace note drills?
Oh man, it's like whenever I pick up sticks, those are the things that I have warm up exercises.
When was the last time you did it?
Yesterday.
Thank you. How long you been drumming?
40 plus years.
Thank you. For a 21-year-old, that's quite amazing. This is what I'm saying, fam. Dave is a professional drummer. Right? Or professional hobbyist drummer, however you want to call it. But even as a pro drummer, when we step into the dojo, you have to do white belt drills as a black belt. You never stop
100%.
doing white belt drills as a black belt. As a pro drummer, Dave still has to do paradiddles and flams and drag notes and, single rolls, double rolls, like the whole 9 yards. Right? Jill still sings scales when she's warming up. Right? As a singer, she still does the whatever the heck it is. Like you guys, it's comical.
But I know now how much value that still brings me. If I don't do that, certainly I've had periods of time where I'm lazy or whatever, and I have too much going on. I haven't prioritized playing the drums, and then a gig will come up, right? And can I make it through the gig? Of course. I've been playing gigs for 40 years, but I notice that like the little things, the things that require dexterity and finesse, my hands don't want to do for me.
There, yeah.
They're not there. Can I make it through the gig? Does anybody else notice? Probably not. They probably don't notice, but I do. And that then lowers my confidence in the gig. And it's like, oh, I can't get away with this. In fact, I had to play 3 gigs. We flew back from Vegas on Thursday, and then Friday night, Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, we played. Friday night and Saturday afternoon was the music of Fleetwood Mac, and then Saturday night was David Bowie and Queen. We had rehearsed it all prior to me going to Vegas. And we did this last year with the Led Zeppelin celebration too. And I was like, why are we doing this again? Like we hated this because we couldn't rehearse it all week. And then we just had to show up and play. And it was fine, but it would have been better if we had the the second Fleetwood Mac gig was way better than the first one, because we were all like, oh, right, I remember this material now.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with any kind of creative endeavor.
Correct.
We've been talking actually a lot about camera confidence and public speaking and all the different aspects that go into not the tech, but the other skills you need to be in this space, whether it's video or live streaming or whatever, or podcasting, etc. And I think that point is really valid for people to hear, and exactly what Doc is saying. The reps are there to help you get more comfortable. The tech setup and all of that kind of stuff is going to help you feel more comfortable, but all of it will build your confidence as well. So it's not just doing it regularly, but it's knowing how the tech works. It's doing those practices. It's being in the space more often in the in-between times. It's all of those things that contribute to your overall confidence. So sometimes that is, I think, a little bit hard to remember, because sometimes even I think it's okay, well, but I'm podcasting twice a week, right? So I'm doing this show and I'm doing my other show twice a week. So the in-between moments when I get busy, whatever. But the in-between moments like this week where I'm moving things around and messing with all the tech, have reminded me that oh, actually I'm not as confident in this spot, or it. So I think it all goes into it. It all takes time. None of it's easy, and all of it does take time.
So that's the thing there is no, I was talking about this with somebody last night. There is no shortcut to any of that. Nope. It simply is time. So the trick is learning where to be efficient in other aspects of your life and your tech and whatever, so that you can have the time to put in, because that's the one thing you can't make.
Bingo. Now, and see, because I was going to say I would say the biggest problem is not even a real problem; it's a perceived problem. Is people always say, "Yeah, it takes time," and we all say, "Yes, it takes time." And then you know what everybody else does? Oh, well, I don't have any time, and I'm like, BS. If you let me follow you for a day, I will find 2 hours of wasted time in almost anybody's days. But it's also wasted based on what you call the priority. So I guess in a way, there's almost no such thing as truly wasted time. It's where you chose to pick a priority to do something that's not going to help you. And you say that you want this, and you say you want to grow your show, and you say you want more viewers, and you say you want better quality, and you say you want all these things. And then you spend 2 hours watching Stranger Things. I'm not going to hate you. I watch Stranger Things, but you know what? I made those 2 hours to watch the Stranger Things. But if you sing in one voice that you want to do all these things for your podcast, and then you take that time to spend it on Stranger Things, then the podcast is not the priority that you tell everybody it is on the internet, because it sounds cute on the internet to tell everybody it's your priority. And if you want to habit stack, stop the current podcast, put it on hiatus, tell everybody that you're having a mental breakdown and you need a break, and then start a Stranger Things podcast. Now you get the habit stack. Now you get to learn how to be a better podcaster and do the thing that you're wasting time on.
Yeah, that's what I do. I watch movies for fun. Podcast about it.
It's funny. That sounds 100%. Katie got better at podcasting by doing a podcast about VHS. And when she told me she was going to do this a couple years ago, we were on the phone, and she said, "I'm going to do this podcast with Nat, and we're going to watch old movies. And through doing that, I will get better at all the Ecamm stuff and using Ecamm and producing my own shows and marketing and the whole 9 yards." So even the skills that we use that make us smart enough to hire Dave to go to CES comes from doing the deliberate practice, Kaizen. My whole 30 days challenge this time is I'm talking about Japanese concepts that people need to learn in order to be better creators. And this whole Kaizen is this whole portion of deliberate practice where your only goal is to get 1% better each time. It's that small incremental improvements. And that's why, as a 41-year experienced drummer, Dave is still doing flim-flams.
That's true.
Because that's deliberate practice.
I do a show called Business Brain with Shannon Jean, who Mac users may remember as the person who started Mac Rescue and iRescue and then Tech Restore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yep. He's done other businesses. We did a business together. I mentioned it, actually. Deals on the Web was the two of us primarily for a while. But we've been friends forever. And now for 11 years, we've been doing a podcast that's called Business Brain. And Shannon's favorite thing, I've learned so much from Shannon. He is we have a competition as to who learns the most from each episode. And it's always me, because Shannon's so much better at this stuff than I am, which is great. one thing he will say, and it's almost exactly what you were saying, Doc, is when somebody says, "Oh, I want to start a business. I'm in say they're in a 9-to-5 job, and they want to, create a different life for themselves and create more freedom. Well, more flexibility. When you run your own business, you don't get freedom. You trade that for flexibility. But yeah, that's fine. Like, I mean, no problem.
True. That's exactly true.
And so his whole thing is when somebody says, I just don't know where, I don't have the time, or maybe they say, I don't know where I would find the time. Shannon says, great, do you have Netflix? And they say, oh, yeah. Great, cancel your Netflix subscription. And I just gave you back 3 hours a day. So now you're good to go.
Yeah.
Any questions? And of course, nobody really wants to hear that.
Nope.
But it's the truth.
It's 100%
true. Every business I have was started at night, like in the wee hours.
In your free time. Right?
In my free time.
100%.
I was either trading, Netflix or sleep or both to start whatever the next business was. And that's how they all are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I mean, as crazy as it sounds, some people are in a position and they just don't realize this, or they don't want to because they got a bunch of excuses as to why they can't. But you could literally take public transportation to work for 3 months. And then that way your hands aren't driving. And then during that time, study whatever it is the hell you say you want to get good at. Most people can do that. Not everybody. Some of you guys live in the boondocks. Katie, I don't think there's a public bus anywhere near your house.
I'm also only going
3 miles. True story. True story.
Bad example.
But that's a really good.
But like,
that's a great point.
People have the dumbest excuses, and like, okay, well, I really don't have this time because I got to cook for my kids. Bet. How about you meal prep for 3 months until you get better at the thing you want to do, and just tell everybody. Yeah. Or if your kids are over 14, teach them how to meal prep with you. Teach them how to cook. I mean, like, if you really, really want it,
and teach them why you're doing that.
Yes. Yep. So you're showing them
we're going to level up our lives.
Bingo. You're setting up true things that you could do. It's easy to make excuses. It's harder to actually do the work. And so here's why the excuses are so prevalent, because it's so easy to make excuses. Like, if you really, really say you want to do something, you can do it.
There's the fear of starting too.
Bingo.
Right? I mean, and I'm speaking about myself, and I know it's hard to believe because I start a lot of things, but there are so many things I've never started because I probably suffer from the fear of starting more than most people. I think, okay, well, gosh, how's this going to work? I don't know enough about this. I'm not an expert at this yet. Right? I also intellectually, I know, how could I possibly be an expert? I've never done this before. Like, you don't get to start as an expert. That's not how it works. But still, it doesn't stop me from having those thoughts. It's like, you know what? Maybe just watching Stranger Things. That's going to be fine. Yeah. And then you don't do it. But once I do get started, then it's easy. Then I get excited. And it's like, I could be, this was fine, but I could do it better tomorrow because I've learned something now. Yeah. And even like this year in Vegas, I noticed it. My first day, I carved out an hour to do a bunch of videos, and I did, and it was great. And the 10th one came together faster than the first one. It was like, okay, yep, I'm in the group. And then I went to sleep for a short period of time. Did the whole thing the next day, came back to it, and it was like, oh man, like I am twice as good right now as I wish I could go back and do the ones from yesterday again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because these are so much better. And then I have to kind of stop myself like, well, get everything done and then go back to the beginning if you really want to, but you're not going to, you're just going to keep moving forward because they were good enough.
Exactly. And also that's to be expected. I think.
Yes.
Yeah, and part of it. Okay, well, I know.
Go ahead, Katie.
Go ahead,
I was going to say one thing that everybody should do. You can get one for relatively cheap. There's a little timer right here, and you can. I picked this up for like maybe $10 on Amazon. You can use your phone, but these are better because your phone requires you to pick it up, and then once you pick it up, you go, ooh, Instagram, ooh, Doc sent me a reel, and now you're gone. So, Jill, what you do is you get one of these, and you say, okay, my goal is to put out 2 shorts. I'm going to set this timer for 20 minutes. I got 10 minutes apiece to create those shorts. I'm only allowed to have 2 takes. No matter what I say, no matter how bad I screw it up, I only have 2 takes. Why? Because they're shorts, and they're very, very impermanent. They disappear. Nobody would know what the heck you did last week. You can do it again next week. And you literally set the timer, crank out 2 shorts. Now, when you look down and you're at 27, good. Take that 27, own it, love it, make yourself happy, clap yourself on the back. Do it again tomorrow, bring it down to 26, 25. Eventually, you'll get it down to 20. And then the week after that, you know what you can do? Get it down to like 10. And you can crank out 2 shorts in 10 minutes. I literally showed Strick and those guys how to do a short live on the stream the other day, and I swear to you, it took me 60 seconds to make a 60-second short.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, this stuff can all be created in real time.
Yep.
100%.
Not your first time.
Not your first
No,
time.
not your first time. But that's what
very
Strick
quickly.
explained. Strick explained, because we're DJs, we could just take a concept and just go with it. That's come radio. They hand you a piece of paper and be like, we just sold this ad, make the ad now. And I'm like, what ad? Well, I don't even know anything about Dave's House of Steak. And they hand you a piece of paper and I got to go, hey, everybody, this weekend at Dave Hamilton's House of Steak, you can get the 2 ribeye deals for seniors over 55. Make sure you're in by 5 o'clock and get the sides. I really like the mashed potatoes. But make sure you check it out and tell them that we sent you from KIKI-FM Hot I-94. That's it. That's the ad. They handed me a piece of paper.
You didn't even say once.
No.
That was brilliant.
No, because what happened? How come I don't say I got the reps, dude, and you can't get the reps looking at the TV. Stranger Things ain't gonna give you them reps.
It's true.
All right. Well, we are just about out of time, but
Okay.
in the last overtime couple of minutes, I want you to pick, and I'm going to make it hard for you. What if, for those of us who didn't get to go and are now going to catch up on all of your footage so that we can feel like we were there?
Yep.
What was the most exciting thing that is now coming out to the rest of us in the podcasting or video space? What excited you the most in the space?
Oh man, I had an answer, and then you narrowed it down in the podcasting or video space. Man,
what matters to us Ecamm people?
Yeah, that's the Link 2 Pro camera from Insta360.
Oh yeah,
I got to see that at CES, and I think that comes out
today.
This week.
It came out today.
I
got the email.
Yeah, there you
today.
go. Okay, that's right. I got the email from them this morning too. I got to see it and play with it. This thing, 4K. It sits on the top of your computer or laptop or whatever. It will follow you. It has a motor in it. It will go up and down, side to side. It will follow your hand gestures if you want to tell it, like she was doing this to tell it to zoom in and out and all kinds of things. And it's super, like, the quality of the video was fantastic. I mean, it was just like on the show floor where lighting is super weird and all of that stuff. It looked great. So that's one for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, for the rest, you will have to check out Dave's channel. So where can they find all of the videos?
Yeah. MacGeekGab.com /YouTube or YouTube.com/@MacGeekGab. And there's more coming. We've got, probably another 30 videos to put out this week. So before I head next week to Los Angeles to cover NAMM for my other podcast, Gig Gab. So,
I love it. Well, I so appreciate you taking the time not only to be on the show, but to physically come in the space and help me troubleshoot everything. It's been awesome. And Doc, I'm just sad you aren't here in person, but it almost feels like you are. You're pretty close. We have a display this time around.
Yeah, but then if I was there, you wouldn't have figured out how to put all this stuff back together so quickly.
It's true. It's true. Sometimes even though you want Doc in the room, you have to have him on a rotating.
Oh my God.
That's right.
Jill was spinning me around yesterday, Dave, and doing like the old, the 80s music video where they spin the table around. And so we were doing System of a Dawn and we were singing it and she was spinning the chair around and I was crack up. Oh my God. Get a brush up on a little makeup. It was so freaking hilarious. It was so freaking hilarious. But yes, Dave, thank you for coming and doing this.
Thanks for having me.
I really want
blast.
people, because I end up with all of the Mac support questions, I really want everybody who's listening to go listen to the Mac Geek Gab.
Please do.
Please do. And as a matter of fact,
subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We're everywhere.
Yeah, 100%. So. And strangely enough, right after this, the reason why I'm wearing my Q clothes is I'm going on Twit. So I'm going to be hanging out with Leo later today doing. I think.
Oh, nice. Tell Leo I said hi.
Actually, I think I'm substituting for Leo if I look at the schedule correctly. I might
tell everybody else I said hi.
Yeah, I might actually be Leo this time. No, it's me, Andy, Jason, and Leo. Okay, so I'm subbing for Alex. Dang, that means I got to pick something expensive.
And I don't think you're subbing for Alex. I think you're filling space until something happens, right? Because Alex works for Apple now and can't be on
That's right.
He
can't be on the show anymore. I forgot about that. Yeah. Man, see, listen, this is so cool. And I really appreciate you for coming in and doing this. I hope everybody that listens just sort of reach out to Dave. Dave's around. right? This guy, you talk about somebody who's been podcasting since like Jesus walked in Nazareth, it was Dave. So like if you reach out to Dave, go listen to his show, go see Pilot Pete and, you know, Adam, my other buddies. And also we're going to be hanging out doing something cool coming up soon. So listen to that because we're going to go and put ourselves in a spot where you get to hang out with us and Dave in the same place. So all you people say, you guys never come to the middle of the country. Yeah, pay attention. Pay attention to this space. Yeah. So there. All right. So here's how it works. If you want to find out anything about the flow, what you need to do is jump on over to flow.ecamm.com, right? You can subscribe to the podcast wherever your podcast getting this guide. You can leave us questions, comments, feedback. You can even leave us a voicemail, but jump over to flow.ecamm.com. It is literally just that cool. So I like to thank you guys for doing that. And yeah, this has been an absolute blast. Dave, thank you so much for just, you know, blessing us with your good graces.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for helping us make CES happen this year. And yeah, truly, this is what a treat. Thank you.
Katie, what do we have coming up next week?
Yeah, we have Paul Gowder joining the show next week. We're going to talk all about connecting your email and your video and your podcast. So it's a super important conversation. It's much easier and more friendly than it ever was. I think it's a great way to be able to get your listeners to your show and make sure that you're building a community with your show as well. So it should be a really fun one. Next week, Paul joins the show.
All right, that is awesome. You know what we say around here, people? Flow Riders, out!
Out. Bye, everyone.